In less than a week, virtually all remaining COVID-19 restrictions in Massachusetts will be lifted, and businesses across the state will be able to reopen at full capacity. And a couple of weeks after that, on June 15th, Governor Charlie Baker is set to lift the state of emergency he declared last March. The governor told us on the radio the other day that the extra time was for the legislature and him to decide which of these emergency measures should be extended. One that has the backing of the restaurant industry: to-go cocktails. Restaurants and bars have been able to include alcoholic beverages in takeout and delivery orders since last summer, but that's gone in mid-June. So they want lawmakers to do something roughly 20 other states have already done, some even making it permanent. Right now, a bill sponsored by Methuen State Senator Diana DiZoglio would extend cocktails to go for another 2 years, and the senators also offered amendments to the Senate budget that's up for debate this week, which would do the same. But the proposals are getting a lot of pushback from liquor stores. State Senator Diana DiZoglio and Robert Mellion, Executive Director and General Counsel of the Massachusetts Package Stores Association, join me now to debate. Senator Rob, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us,
Thank you for having me on. Yes.
Senator, why extend cocktails to go?
Cocktails to go is something that's proven tremendously successful in assisting our local mom and pop restaurants to be able to survive the negative impacts of the pandemic, Jim. And it's something that's a simple measure that's been able to add much needed revenue to their bottom line, that has assisted them in keeping the lights on, keeping employees on the payroll, amongst many other things. It is something that is also very popular with residents, especially those, Jim, who are still struggling with the idea of going into restaurants for in-person dining, which we know has been something that almost half of the residents in Massachusetts have said they still have concerns with.
Rob, why is the senator wrong?
So the amendment process is not the way to change decades-old alcohol beverage laws that intentionally separate Section 12 licenses, restaurants, and Section 15 licenses. The way to do this, if you're going to make changes that are this material, where you're going to allow restaurants to be both on the premise and off the premise retailers, then you got to have open hearings about this. You have to have open dialogue. You have to have an opportunity for public safety to weigh in. You have to have an opportunity for the ABCC to weigh in on whether they can regulate all of this. We're not doing that with the current process.
Rob, we'll get to in a minute to the process, but I want to ask you on the merits. Liquor stores, from what I read in the newspaper, have had a pretty good year. They were open throughout, profits up. According to the Restaurant Association, 23%, a quarter of restaurants in the state closed permanently, and the others didn't do so hot. At least as a transition, if not permanently, doesn't something that allows them to recoup some of their losses, isn't that equitable?
So I'm glad you asked this question. This makes the assumption that, and this has been something that the media has mischaracterized our industry over. It hasn't been so good for a lot of stores across the state. Retail has taken a beating just like everybody else did. What's missed in all this is that
liquor stores and package stores are not up. Every story I have read in this past year has talked about how maybe there's some exceptions, how business is up.
Right. Jim, a lot of these stories were printed without actually reaching out to us or our members. They were just printed. The fact is that a lot of stores did not see profits. And I'll give you an example. Stores in the Boston area, they did not see profits because there was nobody in Boston to go to their stores. And they didn't get the benefit of national bailouts or state bailouts. They were on their own.
So overall, but Rob, just so clear, you're saying across the board there was not an increase in revenues and profits for liquor stores in the state. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that the revenues are not what people think. Did some stores make profit? Yes. There are some stores that made about 3% profit because the cost of doing business is a lot higher in this environment than what is being acknowledged here. And I'm not saying that restaurants...
Senator, I've got to stop you there. Senator, how about the process? This may bore people at home, but it is true. This is a pretty major shift. And the reality is if you get a 2-year extension, it'll be easier to make it permanent. Why shouldn't there be hearings when both sides can testify, the public gets an opportunity to hear? Isn't that what small d democracy is all about?
Absolutely, and I completely support that 100%. I actually had a robust debate with Rob, who's here on this call with us during the hearing that this did have several months ago. And we did have an opportunity to discuss this, and this was something that was reported out favorably and went through the process. And we've been doing this. This is not a new piece of legislation. This is something that's already been enacted in the state of Massachusetts. And what I am asking for is an extension of some of these provisions that we've already seen implemented to assist our local restaurants as they continue on their path to recovery.
So
Rob,
Jim,
Rob, if I may,
I have to correct something here, though. The debate that we had last year in June was over what we have in place right now, which we were for. We supported. We supported it with the understanding that when the state of emergency ended, so would the emergency provisions, because what's lost in all this is the reason why we did it.
Rob, if I may, I don't believe you did support it. My reading today is you supported the beer and wine to go. You did not support cocktails to go at the time. I read a quote from you in the Boston Globe from last year saying you didn't support it.
We didn't support it the way that it was put in the bill itself. We didn't support 60, let's be clear, 64 ounces is 2.5 bottles of Canadian whiskey with some water. And then at the same time,
Rob,
6 liters is a mini keg of beer. And we're talking about 1.5 liters of wine, which is 2 bottles of wine. That is far more broad than other states in the country that have allowed cocktails to go.
Rob, an argument you made, I've seen in writing that you haven't made here tonight, that I find pretty persuasive, is your concern about the impact on minors and their ability to get alcohol more simply in 30 seconds. And I do mean 30 seconds. Make your case.
So the point is that with cocktails to go right now, under the scheme that we have, Section 12 licenses who are delivering right now, they're doing so with third-party delivery services. And these delivery services are not adequately policed. So the consequence is that second-party sales are going on. That's where somebody can buy and then is buying for people who shouldn't be able to buy. And then we also have minors who are doing the game of they're wearing a mask and they're spray painting their hair. They're posting it on Instagram. The point is that minors are getting access to alcohol with this, and we need to tighten this all up.
Senator, does that not concern you?
The restaurants are being punished by the Package Store Association for the actions of third-party delivery services, is what I'm hearing. And if Rob's point is that we need to regulate third-party delivery services, I am all for that, and actually filed a bill to regulate them so that they could stop price gouging our local restaurants. And I think that this would be a great addition that I hope the Package Store Association would work with the legislature on. But to punish the restaurants because you have a problem with how some third-party delivery service is acting is completely inappropriate. Our restaurants do not deserve this type of pushback right now when they have been good actors in this entire process.
But this bill and these amendments exculpate them. That's the problem. And meanwhile, stores abide by a whole different set of regulations. They must be licensed with the state to deliver, or they must use a delivery service that is licensed to the state. It's a completely different setup for Section 12 licenses.
You know, honestly, what I'm hearing right now,
seconds, Senator.
What I'm hearing right now, Rob, is a bunch of bogus excuses. This is not reflective of what the average package store owner feels in the Commonwealth. I have package store owners calling me saying they are supportive of these measures. They support cocktails to go. They know that it's helping our local restaurants and that it has not had a negative impact on them. I hope that the lobbyists that are representing them on Beacon Hill would start acting not just in their best interest, but in the best interest of all of those in our community who need support during this time.
Senator, got to go. Rob Mellion, got to go. Got to go.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Jim.
much for your
Thank you very
time,
much,
both
Senator.
of you. Good luck to you both.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.